Hi, Facebook. Welcome to Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today we're going to be talking about real estate and mortgage myths. Stay for the after show. We're going to jump right in and get to the live recording here, but anything that we can't cover during the radio show itself, we will cover in the after show, so hang around. You guys ready?
Ready.
Yes, sir.
All right. Get my official looking headphones on.
Prepare for takeoff.
Yes, there we go. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrad and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tolfson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. And check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. Follow us on our Facebook page where you can see upcoming events, listings, and watch us record live most Tuesdays. Just type in Bricks Real Estate, Bricks Twin Cities, and you'll see us on there. Like our page, follow us. All right, today we are going to be talking about real estate and mortgage myths. I would like to welcome back Chad Preby. Thank you for coming in. And new to the studio, one of my partners with the House Geeks team, Ben Greilinger. Did I pronounce it correct?
You got it.
All right.
Nailed it.
I'm very bad with names. Anybody who knows this show knows that I'm bad with names. At least you have a 3-letter first name.
Yes. One has to be simple.
It gets bad when around 5 letters.
Right. It gets a little confusing.
All right, so real estate and mortgage myths. We've done this show a few times, and I do like to bring some of them back around, but also bring new ones that come up. And this is one that we've been discussing, Chad, on or during our classes that we do.
Yep.
And that is the pre-qualification during or versus pre-approval.
Huge. Very big topic. Very, very important to talk about. And there are two.
I didn't really know the difference until you guys explained it to me, and how that looks. I mean, obviously, I always thought you'd get those letters in the mail, and I'd be like, yeah, this is BS. I'm not
Right.
So,
Well, everything, and well, not everything, but a lot of things in today's world is hurry up. Let's get a decision. Let's make a decision now. Something that's important to understand is that's not the case with mortgages. So we have a lot of internet companies out there now, or you see a lot of advertising on TV or billboards that say get your mortgage approval in minutes. That's a pre-qualification. And what that means is the mortgage lender is not reviewing any of your income, asset documentation. They're basically taking your word on the application, which is okay, but it's not really doing the due diligence to get you a solid pre-approval.
well, this is what got us into all the trouble back when the market crashed, right? What, stated income loans, right? Oh, yeah, just tell us what you make, and we'll get you approved. Here's $200,000.
Yeah, that was a day.
Right. Well, and the thing is now is and maybe there's people out there that are like, oh, that's the way the process is supposed to work. That's not the way it is anymore.
Right.
That there's checks and balances in place, and before a multi-$100,000 check is written for you to buy a house, they're going to take the time to verify what you make, what you filed for your taxes, what your expenses are. They're going to go through all of that. It's not just running the credit.
Right. And a big piece there, too, guys, is that once you're pre-approved and we've verified your information, you can go out and look at homes with confidence. When you find that one that you fall in love with, when you're making an offer, you know what it is. You're confident in what you're doing. You know your financing, you know your payment budget, your documents have been reviewed by a professional underwriter. It's just not an automated system telling us that you're approved, because that's not verified. So, good point.
Yeah, this is where, it can seem all fine and dandy until it's not fine and dandy. Oh, I got this pre-approval from this online lender. I see them all the time. It's great. Until they tell you, oh no, actually we still have stuff to do. You're not going to be able to close on time. This is going to delay. And not closing on time, that's a big deal. That's a breach in contract.
Right.
Okay? You could potentially lose your earnest money. You could be potentially have added expenses that the seller is going to request you to cover for that time. It's not a joking matter.
Right.
And I've seen it cost people thousands of dollars, to save a little money. And yeah, the thousands did not make up for what they lost.
Right, and you're putting other families in jeopardy too, and it's not really necessarily your fault. You're just not guided in the right direction. But you got to remember that home you're buying, that person that's selling you that home is buying another property as well, which those people are selling and buying. So it's a trickle down factor. You got a lot of different people involved.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that it may take a little longer to do it the right way, but it's the right way.
Right.
Right. As we say in the class, don't be in a rush. If you're in a rush, you're gonna, whether you're buying or whether you're selling, if you're in a rush, you're gonna make those top 5 mistakes that both buyers and sellers make. And we're doing a class coming up tonight, and that's the new thing we've added to the class. It's like when we're talking about, the biggest frustrations people have, it's almost always because they rushed.
Right.
Right.
Very important.
Okay, so here's another one. Saving money on commission is going to save me money. This is really meant more towards people looking at selling their home. And Ben, as house geeks, I like looking at numbers, looking at the data. And something that's really interesting is that when you look at a reduced commission, like if a seller is using a discount broker, somebody who dropped their commission, that on average, in comparison to their neighbors, they're going to get between 6 and 8% less on the price per square foot.
Wow.
Right? And the people are like, well, how is that possible? Right? Well, think about it. It's pretty simple dollars and cents. That if you are talking your agent down in commission, they're reducing the money that they can spend on marketing. Right? If you're talking your agent down on commission, they're reducing the money they're paying out to a buyer's agent, right? So you are reducing the motivations on multiple levels. And that 0.5%, that 1%, that $500, that $1,000 that you're saving is going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. Right. You want to make sure that when you're discussing commissions, that you're talking about it in a smart way of, well, maybe what are you doing with the commission? Not what is it that I can get off of it, but how are you, what are the services you're providing me? Right?
I like that.
I think that's the approach you should be using, because you know what? There's plenty of agents out there that charge a 7% commission that probably aren't using the money that they should be when charging that much money. Right? And there's agents out there that might be on a lower percentage commission that are going above and beyond. Mm-hmm. So that's what you want to be looking at. And you want to be looking at those payouts and make sure that they're in line with what's normal for your area. Okay, seller paid closing costs. I mean, would you say, Ben, is this one of the most confusing things that you see with buyers and sellers?
Yeah, it's, should you ask for it? Should you not ask for it? How much to ask for? What do you anticipate them costing? So there's definitely a lot of variables that come into play with, how to approach that closing cost help from sellers.
Right, and the big understanding is to understanding who as well is actually paying it, right?
Right.
Because one, you have to decide, what are you putting into it, the percentage, and are you going, where's the seller net in comparison to the gross offer? The first thing to start out with, and the easiest way to understand this from both a buyer's and seller's perspective, is it's always the buyer that's paying this cost, right? It's whether it's financed into the loan or it's paid cash out of pocket. Correct. Okay, the scenario that we give in our class is you have a $100,000 condo. You determine with you and your agent that it's worth $97,000. You want to finance the closing costs, so you ask for 3%. That is what you're going to do. So you offer $100,000 with 3%, quote unquote, seller paid closing costs. Then the seller gets their $97,000, right? Okay, but it's financed $3,000. The seller isn't paying it. you're paying on that mortgage. And now probably some jackwagon out there is probably thinking, well, I'm going to say 97 grand and the seller's going to pay my closing costs. Okay, do the calculation. Take 97 times at 0.97%. That's the new seller net. You're still paying it no matter what.
Right.
Okay?
The seller's still going to net what they need to net.
Right. So you want to make sure that you have that understanding, because that can shoot a lot of first-time home buyers in the foot. Also, it can throw off a lot of sellers that don't understand they're not netting that gross offer amount.
Right.
I think it's important to look at things like net sheets when you're discussing this, whether you're a buyer or a seller. You're talking about different offers to at least break that down and see what it is you're truly getting.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because that is so important, especially when you come to the mortgage side for your pre-approval. You have to know your numbers, because that's going to dictate what you can offer on that property, right? So when I do an estimate for someone, what I've learned here not that long ago, or something I've been providing my clients as a just an added benefit, is I'm showing you two different tools as far as estimates. One without seller paid closing costs, and then we're going to inflate the sale price, and the other one to show you financing those closing costs.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. All right. Yeah, I should have given you the heads up on. So, if you have something to interject, just interject it, right?
Just jump right in.
Just go right in. If I take a breath, just
jump in.
You got it, right? I'm not gonna pause. Well, okay, you can do that.
Right,
yes.
Right.
Raise your hand.
Excuse me, Mr. Kirk.
You might be sitting there a while.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. You're listening to Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. Today we're talking about real estate mortgage and real estate myths. Yeah. So we were just discussing seller paid closing costs and how that actually works. If you're just joining us, the quick breakdown is the buyer pays it. The buyer always pays it. There's a form that says seller contributions, but like you were stating at the end, it's just a vehicle to artificially inflate the value to then incorporate the closing costs into the loan, right?
That's exactly
it. Anybody wants to call and argue with me on that, you can reach me at 651-303-0019. I'll be happy to discuss that math problem with you any day of the week. All right, so regarding closing costs, now talking about there is a you were talking about billboards and advertising and stuff that lenders use to get people's attention, and one of those is low closing costs and how that's going to save a buyer money.
Correct.
But I mean, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so when you are shopping around, obviously you're going to be looking for the best possible deal when you're looking at closing costs or interest rates. So we can use what they call premium pricing to have a less closing costs, but your interest rate is going to be higher. So it depends on what your goals are, and that's really where you start the conversation with your loan officer is, here are my goals. Are you looking for the best rate, or are you looking for the lowest out-of-pocket costs? And that's going to be starting the process early, right, which we talk about quite a bit in our class too. Is it's never too early
rate
to
and
start.
payment. Yeah, I mean, there's so many figuring out all these things and what are your goals. So,
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to a company because of a less than one sentence phrase, such as our rate is this, and you're calling them, you may want to reconsider and take a little more time in your researching methods to decide how you're going to choose your lender. I mean, sitting there and discussing, what are my goals? Is it about that payment? Is it about the term of it?
Right.
Okay, you know what? I will pay a little bit more if I can have a little time off of
Right.
how long it's going to take to pay it down.
Right, and it's not a bad idea to look around out there, right? There's a lot of different options, but when you're out shopping around, what I ask is that we compare an apple-to-apple scenario. We want to make sure we're looking at the right things, because there are different ways to manipulate an estimate to make that that offer look better.
Well, and what a great segue into shopping around as one of the myths is going to hurt my credit score. Okay. Yeah, and that we have so many people that are afraid to shop around because it is going to impact their credit,
Right.
or they're afraid to even get qualified.
I hear that a lot. Yeah,
and get approved.
I don't want you to pull my credit yet. We're not quite ready. But reality is we have to pull your credit to know what you qualify for. And that's going to
You're not ready until you have your credit pulled.
You got to know
Exactly.
a number to start with, and
Right, Ben, yep.
figure out from what from there.
Well, yeah. I mean, and so often that what is discovered in that inquiry can help people.
Absolutely.
Right? Hey, you know, if you paid off this little bill that you had out there, your score would go to this and you would save this. Now, that takes a little time for that to happen. So going back to what I was saying is you are not ready until you've had your credit pulled, right?
Exactly.
So make sure you're taking that time up front.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's so important. There are things out there that report on your credit report that you may not know is reporting, right? So if we can pay things off or pay it down or, you know, work your credit report to your advantage to get you a better loan or a loan that makes more sense for you, that's what we want to do.
Chad, could you describe briefly about a soft pull versus a hard pull on your credit?
There are ways where you can get a soft pull done. Like there's some credit card apps out there, like one through Capital One is called Credit Wise. You know, you'll be able to see what your credit score is without having a hard inquiry on your credit. The company I work for, Bell, we don't do a soft pull. We're going to pull your credit, and you're going to have a hard inquiry, but we're actually pulling your full credit report. We're looking at the full details behind your credit rating.
Right, and it's not just about score, right? Somebody comes, oh, my credit score is this. That's great. What's your DTI, debt to income ratio, based on what's really there,
Thank
right?
you, yes.
You know, you may have forgotten about something that's hanging out on your credit report. So again, you are not ready until you have that done, right? So taking care of it in advance is well worth it. You know, the lowest payment is the best option. That's, you know, I see people shopping that way. Oh, what's the lowest payment? What's the lowest payment? Well, is that really your goal?
Right. I mean, we're not buying a car, right? I mean, you know, when I went and bought my new truck, I was looking for the lowest payment because I wasn't worried about too much other things. But when you're buying a house, yeah, you do want the lowest payment, but there's a lot of things that go into that factor, right? So
here's one I definitely want to touch on regarding home sellers. That minor cosmetic things. You know, it's not a big deal to buyers. You know, they're going to take care of it. It's going to be their home. They're going to make it the way they want it. Well, probably there's no bigger myth out there than that, because minor cosmetics can account for anywhere between 14 and 20% difference in sale price on your median sale price home, okay?
that's serious money.
Now, I'm kind of bundling a few things in there. So what do I mean by minor cosmetics? Flooring. What's the condition of your flooring? Does it need... do you need to replace the carpet? Do you need to clean the carpet? Painting the walls, you know, taking care of nicks, scratches, and the trim work, whatever. Cabinetry touch-up, okay? And, you know, exterior, peeling paint on decks, windows, siding, things like that. You know, broken outlet covers. That's minor cosmetics. Okay, anything that you can fix with paint or flooring or a carpet cleaner or something like that, that's what I consider. And it's those things. I mean, it's that carpet that maybe smells a little funny, right?
Yeah.
That somebody comes in and they're just like, oh, yeah, no.
Turns
you
right
know?
back around.
Right, exactly. You may love your dog. Hey, I love my dog, but there's people out there that are allergic to dogs, right? They come in and they smell dog in your house. They might like your house, but it's going to be a big nick on it.
And
right?
cats.
And cats, yes.
Right,
Have
yeah,
a very
any
strong
animals.
odor as well.
Mhm.
That litter box hasn't been changed in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't like cats.
I like cats.
Well, you throw out a big
No, I'm kidding.
percentage.
I'm actually terribly allergic to cats. I had 3 of them growing up.
That's
So-
a big percentage you throw out, though. I mean, that's a lot of money to grab a paintbrush or, you know, get a carpet cleaner or do some cosmetic cleanup to.
Again, if you don't believe me on that stat, I'm happy to discuss this. My direct cell is 651-303-0019. No, actually, we just wrapped up writing the Smart Home Seller book, and I mentioned these stats in there and talk about where I got them. It's all within the sales data that's out there. You can take a look and see homes where they just didn't take care of these things in the same neighborhoods as the ones that they did, and you start looking at those percentages, and you're like, wow, yeah, it does make a difference. I mean, you're talking about a $200,000 house. I mean, $28,000 potential difference in sale price or more.
Wow,
it's a lot of money.
That is
for maybe. If you replace some carpet and do some paint and this, that, and the other thing, maybe $5,000.
Right. Yeah.
It's worth it though to take care of that stuff.
How about outside stuff like your shrubs or your yard? If you're listing your house in the spring.
Oh, absolutely. That's another thing. People just they don't think it matters to deal with the exterior as far as your landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to put down the fresh mulch. You want to make sure that the edges are edged, that the weeds are pulled up.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, curb appeal can be one of the most powerful things, for that buyer walking up, and that first impression is very important.
First impression.
Yeah,
right.
And then you get, you walk a buyer around the exterior of a home and they see a big pile of brush. They're probably, they're asking who's going to take care of it.
Yeah. Or your pets,
Oh, bombs. The
Yeah.
bombs. Yes.
Landmines
Yes.
out in the yard.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Keep those cleaned up because your buyer is not going to want to step on one of those. That might turn them away.
Oh, I'm going to save that one for the after show here. Let's go with this one before we wrap up. If I go, this is a seller one. If I go with the agent that says my home's worth the highest price, they see the true value of my home, and right, and I can always come down. You're right. You can always come down, and guess what? You're probably going to come down more than you would have had you just priced right from the get-go, because now you're going to be on the market for 45 days, and then buyers are going to be asking what.
What's wrong with this property? Why is it not selling?
Exactly, because they don't know it's not priced right. They think your professional, in air quotes that I just did, used, priced it appropriately.
Yeah.
And so they immediately think that there's something physically wrong with your house. And now you have a property that's stained, right? You have that tarnished record of a long time on market because you overshot. Now, that said, you do want to talk about what are the average times on market with your agent so you have appropriate expectations. Well, hopefully you found this information helpful. Hopefully you broke a few myths. Have any questions? Hit us up, 651-303-0019, or check us out at brickstwincities.com. We'll be back next week. Thanks, Ben, for coming in. Thanks,
sure.
Chad.
Yep. Thanks for
Kirk.
having me.
All right. I said I'd save this for the after show. All right. Now that all the timers go off. This one I liked, and this was like a discussion that would have gone way over a minute, but a home passes or fails inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the eyes of who's saying it, who's looking at it.
Very subjective.
Right. Now, I will say this much. Let's say you have a buyer. Let's say you're a seller and you have a buyer that asks for, the furnace to be replaced because it's 25 years old and it's going to cost you $2,500 or whatever. And you say, no, it's running just fine. And let's say it is running just fine. But that buyer's like, no, I want it. That's it. Now, if you got a reasonable offer for your house and you were reasonably priced from the get-go, you could take that $2,500 repair, or you could say no, and that buyer walks away. Now, did your house fail the inspection? No, you had a buyer that really, really wanted something. But in the eyes of another buyer, your house failed inspection, potentially, right? They're going to look at that and go, why did that buyer not go with it? They don't know. They don't know it was a furnace that was just older and maybe operating correctly. They see a record of the house was on the market, it was off the market, now it's back on the market. And that's the way agents are looking at it too. What was it? Was it a leaky, leaking foundation, bad roof?
They don't know
right?
the full
They
story.
don't know. So in a sense, it did fail to a certain, right? And you're going to have an effect. And only once in my career, I've been doing this over a decade, and only once have I seen a house come back on and sell for at or more than what that previous offer was. More than off, more often than not, it'll sell for $5 or $10 less than whatever that previous offer was. So you want to, maybe their request is unreasonable. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but you want to think about the impact that that's going to have when you say, no, I'm not going to do this. You can talk about principle all day long. Well, it's the principle of it. Well, you know what? I can give up a little principle if it's going to save me $5,000 in my pocket.
Right, yeah.
And a good agent can kind of mitigate that by just being out front and putting that into the agent remarks.
Yeah, exactly.
The previous buyer had an issue with the older furnace. It's not like it's a secret.
We had it we had it checked.
Yep.
We had it
Checked,
checked,
it
and
works
everything looks
tuned
good.
up, and it works fine. And just
Right.
disclosing why that previous buyer had an issue, so that the next buyer comes in and says, "Okay, this is what they had a problem
They
with."
have a little bit of the story.
Yeah, so it's not a question mark.
So yeah, I mean, they don't technically pass or fail, but you got to keep in mind and how are people maybe looking at that.
Mhm.
I give you credit, Ben, in the because you're right. If you are upfront and disclose it right away, but how often do buyers necessarily even make it to the remarks before they're scheduling a showing? Right? They don't. I wish that a lot of them did, and
it's rare, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it is refreshing to see it when I do
hey,
see it. But
I read the remarks. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, here's a good one. When making an offer, I should make a low offer to just have a good starting point. Depends.
totally depends.
You know, time on market is sitting up there 20 days and no other competition. Yeah, why not?
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
But if you're staring down, I mean, I just had this conversation last night with a client. If you're staring down a potential other offer and decent showing activity, we knew how long the property was on. We saw the number of cards there. We multiplied it by the number of people that actually leave cards, which was funny because I asked the agent about how many showings, and I took a guess. I said, I think they're between like 20 and 25, and it was 25.
Wow.
Right? So...
It's a lot of showings in January.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, would you say it's an early start to the year?
Yeah, things are already lost in multiples on one house for one of my new buyers, and so yeah, it's things for a nice property. Yeah, it's hot right now.
So don't come in with the thought of we're going to lowball them.
Yeah, be
On some of these
very
properties.
careful with that.
Yeah. I mean, you may be just creating what we call a bait offer. They're
Right.
going to use you as fuel for the fire just to drive offers higher.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Or just to get another offer, whatever that may be.
Right.
So,
We talk about that in our seminar too. Is it's not a bidding war in most cases. So if this is the house for you, go in with
the right
a
offer.
solid offer.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's about what is the home worth to you. That's the offer you make.
Right.
You know, anytime you're dealing with competition, that's what you should be doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, if there's a little time on market and you don't have any other competition, yeah, play the game. Go in a little lower. But if you're dealing with competition, what's that home worth to you? That's it.
Exactly.
And then yeah, and going back to the fuel of the fire, if that home is worth less to you than maybe the multiple offers are justifying or the other offer is justifying, maybe just don't put in the offer if it truly and wait and see if the other one ever comes or if something happens to the other. I actually had that happen on a place about a month ago. I'm just like, yeah, let's not go there. Let's just wait. 2 days. It took 2 days
That's
before I got the phone
strategic.
call.
That's strategery. I like that. Very nice.
All right. I think, I mean, I could go on. We have like 3 of these we didn't touch, but
Right.
I think we got to get back to work. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Thank you,
times.
Ben. Thanks, Kirk.
All right. Bye, Facebook.
Have a good day.
Bye.